Purohit sir, Mr. Raghav Purohit, I welcome all the delegates back in the hall. All those who have already arrived, thank you so much for being back. And all those who are still having their refreshment, may I please invite you back to the hall so that we can begin the session. I request all the delegates to please come back to the session, take their seats and be comfortable so that we can start our third session. I request all the delegates, guests to please take their seats so that we can begin. मैं सभी को रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि प्लीज अपनी सीट्स ले लें. The future belongs to those who understand that data and technology are the center of every business and every industry. This is said by Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. With that thought, our following session is on artificial intelligence, digital innovative technologies, and demystifying quantum technology. This session is chaired by Dr. Sumiti Chaudhary, Chairman and MD Gaia. Our eminent speakers for this session are Mr. Saurabh Ghosh, Head of Business Development, Siemens Limited, Mr. Swami Krishnan, VP and Head, HR Marketing and Communication at Suskin Technologies Limited, Mr. Maulik Bhansali, CEO, Network Software Private Limited, Mr. Mangesh Navrange, Sales Director, Digital Energy Industries Process Automation, ABB India. Thank you for joining us on the stage. We would like to introduce the session chair, Dr. Sumiti Chaudhary.
It is a great pleasure that I introduce Dr. Sumit Chaudhary, a visionary leader with a passion for solving complex urban and industrial problems through technology. With a background in electronics and communication networks, he brings 24 years of experience in leading consulting groups at major companies such as KPMG, Bearing Point, IBM, as CIO of Reliance Communication and President with Reliance Jio. His extensive knowledge and expertise in the field of technology combined with his passion for finding solutions to problems have been instrumental in founding of Gaia Smart Cities. Together with his co-founder Mr. Vipin, who brings a wealth of experience from several internet startups and big companies solving complex system problems. They have created an ecosystem of solutions for cities and industries using the power of IoT technologies. As graduate of IIT Kanpur and Carnegie Mellon University with an MS and PhD in field, Dr. Chaudhary has deep understanding of the intersection of electronics, communication networks, IT, urban planning and policy making. He is a solutioneer at heart, and his leadership and passion for technology have driven Gaia Smart Cities to the forefront of solving wide area, urban and industrial problems. With a philosophy rooted in Gaia hypothesis, which states that everything in the world is connected and communicating. Dr. Sumit Chaudhary is leading the charge towards creating smart, sustainable and livable cities for future generations.
With a huge round of applause, I invite Sir to take over the session.
Good afternoon, everybody, and I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me here today to speak and to chair the session today. Most of you, in fact all of you, I can venture to guess, are using information technology today. In fact, as we speak, we are all impacted by information technology. There was a time when automation and machines were what we were driving towards. But in the last 10 years, we have seen layers and layers of information technology taking over our lives, our industries, our governments, and have changed how we approach any problem. So we have to look at measurement, we have to look at solutions which are changing the very approach to how we manufacture, how we think about a problem, right? So this session is about information technology, it is about artificial intelligence, it is about digital technologies, not any other, not manufacturing, not many of the other things you heard today. This is about information technology. And I'm going to finish it by this one extra thing that they added was demystifying quantum, which is quite close to me, so I'll explain it as we go along today. We have an august panel with us, very, very renowned and experienced people who are going to talk about it. And for this session today, the management committee asked me to start off with my own presentation, so I'm going to start off with my presentation first, and then we will have presentations from all the other panelists. I'll introduce you as they come on stage. So can I have my presentation, please? Thank you. Oh, it's there already. Sorry. Yeah. So my session is an introductory session about artificial intelligence. So how many of you know what is artificial intelligence? How many of you would like to know more about artificial intelligence today? Good. So we have got a good audience. It will not go off to sleep. I can guarantee you that you will know more when you leave this hall than you did when you came in. So that's my guarantee. Right? So what is intelligence? Intelligence is anything that learns and improves over time is called an intelligent being. It is not a well-built thing, it is an intelligent thing. It is learning, it is moving ahead and it is growing. You can have good software and then you have intelligent software. Right? So what is intelligent software? Is somebody who is telling somebody to say, how do you do it better? How do you improve it? And when a machine is telling you how to improve what you're doing, and you're being prompted not by your experiences but the machine's understanding of information, that is where it gets to artificial intelligence. Right? That is what we call artificial intelligence. It's not something that got invented right now. It is not something which is a buzz. We call it a buzzword. Today, for the last 3 years, if you Google and find out what top 10 technologies are there, artificial intelligence is number 1 across all geographies. So we are here in the session today in the evening. I know many of you might be sleepy, but this is the most important technology in the world, across the world. Any country you go to, you Google what are the top 10 technologies, artificial intelligence will come, and it is not something new that happened today. It happened in 1956. Machine learning happened a few years after that when they realized that you can automate a lot of the statistics. I mean, many people were doing statistics before, but a lot of people had to work with data to get to statistics. Then machines started taking over, understanding statistics and doing automated things with it. That became machine learning. And then the whole question of DL. What is deep learning? Deep learning is, I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but it is about understanding how humans think and codifying that into a computer. And now computers have started doing what you hear about now, ChatGPT and others. They are all into the deep learning space. Right? You are using it today. Cool things that you are doing today is that you can be driven safely using artificial intelligence. Self-driving cars. You can book appointments anywhere. You can speak, and you will by and large be understood by machines today, by and large, in most languages. It's still growing, still developing, and you can do that. We can predict which movies you like. And artificial intelligence is being used by giving you recommendations all the time today, and it is learning and getting better. In the medical field, you will be surprised. I mean, I have just written skin cancer here, which is a proven point. This is one of the places where they have 100% proven that the machine does it better than humans. But there are many other parts of the medical industry where artificial intelligence is as good, if not better, than most general practitioners that you see today coming out of colleges in predicting based on the symptoms that they take from human beings. Right? So we are getting there. Now, what is artificial intelligence? You will hear a lot of terminology, but let me just break it down into a few different things. So first one is AI technology is about computer vision and audio. So basically what we see and what we hear. Right? So what we see is we have figured out how to put cameras and extend our vision to places where we are not there. In roadways, in transport, wherever we have got cameras, and the cameras can see and understand what we can see and understand today. The development of artificial intelligence in vision is extraordinary, and we will talk about it, and many of our speakers will talk about that. Audio processing is what you hear. So when you speak to Alexa and you tell it to do something, it is actually figured out how you speak, and it is how you understand and how you hear. So sound engineering and how you understand sound has taken a huge, and a lot of AI has gone into that. And then comes natural language. I say a sentence, and and the computer understands that sentence in the context of what I am saying. It can understand the nuances, it can understand my pronunciations, it can understand which language I am speaking. It can translate that back into any other languages, and that is the whole thing about natural language processing. And natural language processing is not something that happens only in the computer. There's a lot of ways in which you have to first classify language. English majors, art majors, history majors, they are all sitting today working on artificial intelligence. It is not just a computer field. Artificial intelligence, only 30% of the people who work in this field are engineers. The rest of them are people who are working in generating the data, classifying the data, things which are actually other fields of life. So that is knowledge representation. How do you codify knowledge, and then artificial intelligence will take over and explain that. Then comes machine learning and expert systems. Experts are basically decisions that machines can take using data that you have generated or a machine has generated. The machine can interpret its own data and take some actions. That's the last part of machine learning. So this is how in general people have been using artificial intelligence technologies, right? I'll not go into too much. There's an overlap between these things. What is artificial intelligence? What is statistics? How many of you have done statistics in your college? Pretty much all of you would have done some statistics and might be using some statistics, but you have to do a lot with that data. When that data gets automated, it moves into the machine learning space. How do you get the data? How do you clean the data? How do you make it ready for the same decisions that you would have taken as a statistician? That comes in over there. And on the artificial intelligence side, we talked about. And in the middle is neural networks. And the reason why I got that in red is that all the new developments that you are seeing are in neural networks. And I have been very fortunate that when I graduated out of IIT Kanpur, my undergraduate thesis was on neural networks. And we have been working since 1980. I'm in India over here, but as you said, that this field is very, very old. And what we were doing at that time is still relevant today. Right? Now, if you take a look at which side they are coming from, on one side you have got human activity, and humans are enabling machines to do better. On the other side are machines, and humans are helping the machines to do better. So this convergence is happening, and in this middle is where all the new developments are happening. What the humans and machines are doing together. Right? We develop something and then humans are supposed to use it, to improve it, to get better at it. Right? So, and this is the trajectory that you are going to see over the next 10, 15, 20 years before other things take over, and I'll talk about it in the end today again. And it has got to do, this whole concept of artificial intelligence has got to do with learning. How do you learn? As I said, what is intelligent? What is artificial intelligence? Intelligence is people who learn and improve. So the basic core of artificial intelligence is about learning. So how do you learn? You've got supervised learning. Somebody tells you something and you learn it. You wrote it like we all did. 2 into 2, 4, 4 into 4, 16. We learned. Somebody told you, you learned. Right? That is unsupervised learning. Nobody really told you, you saw things happening and you figured out that this is how things are. Right? It was unsupervised, but you learned what it was. Right? Then comes semi-supervised. Somebody told you, mountains look like this rivers look like this, then you go to another river and you say, I haven't seen this kind of mountain, but this looks like a mountain, I know that this is a mountain. So you can sort of get to that thing. And then the other one is reinforced learning. This, many of us when we were growing up had a lot of. Our teachers used to give us one tight slap and we learned something very quickly. It's called reinforced learning. So it is about reward recognition. When you do something right, you are rewarded. When you don't do something right, you are punished. So the learning becomes faster. So we grew up in this reinforced learning phase in our life. Many people don't do it these days, but you have other forms. But computers are taught what to do using these 4 mechanisms today. You tell it, I'll very quickly show you what it means. You basically give it some input data, you have modeled it, and you say, can you now tell me what is it? Is it an apple? Is it a pear? Is it a mango? So you basically give it some training data and you keep telling it that this is what it is. And then finally it starts learning that a mango is a mango, an apple is an apple, and it can separate out apples and oranges and peaches. Right? So that's very easy supervised learning. Then you have this other thing. You've got yellow colors, you've got lemon also is yellow, and then you've got orange is also orangish. You've got apple which is green, it has got a shape and it has got a color. So you've got a little bit of a thing to do, saying that okay, there are apples are of this shape, you cannot go by the color. Then you've got oranges, they are sort of by color, they are citrus fruits, and then you've got this thing which is green and red, right? So machines have to be told what to do and sort of let them evolve a little bit on their own when they start seeing these patterns. And then you've got this environment where we talked about reinforced learning, where you've got to reward the right grouping and you've got to punish the wrong grouping, and eventually there's an output. And all of these have different uses of and you'll hear many of these examples, but not necessarily in this way. So computer vision, it's all about zeros and ones. I mean, every image, everything that is there is stored like that, but we therefore have to figure out how to manage those numbers over there in the computer. If you look at some of the other things on traffic management, I'm working on one of the largest traffic management projects in Delhi, so we are the consultants to the Delhi police to redo the entire thing. The amount of technology that we are putting in cameras, in sensors, and all of the things should basically look at how do you make traffic safe, how do you catch various things, and how do you do that? You've got number plate recognitions, you've got violations of people who are crossing red lights. So you have to detect a red light, and you have to only detect a car going past it when there is red light. So there are so many decisions to be taken before you get a challan. How many of you have got an automatic challan so far? Right? See, I'm telling you how you got it right now. And every city in this country today is probably quadrupling this infrastructure, so just drive carefully going forward, because that is the only source of revenue for them, right? Which comes directly. And so radar technology is being used. A car going at 180, 200 kilometers per hour, I still have to recognize the number plate of that car which is going at that speed. So what technology needs to be there? The camera needs to be so good that it is being able to recognize the number plate of a car going at 180 kilometers, 200 kilometers per hour. So you see the way technology is growing today is you cannot bring it back to a server somewhere else and then think what is the car number. The camera needs to become intelligent. The artificial intelligence is now embedded in the camera itself. So you have moved the compute capacity of what used to happen in very big computers in the back to a small microprocessor on the camera itself. And all it is doing, single purpose job, is to capture number plates. It doesn't know how to detect smell, it doesn't know how to call your name out, it doesn't know how to respond like Alexa, it just knows how to do one thing, which is number plate recognition. Right? So that is how focused you get, and therefore a lot of technology is going in in there in your parking systems. And I work in the urban smart cities domain. I've been a consultant to more than 14 cities right now in India and also abroad. We are doing a lot of work on these technologies. So we are sort of in there. I mean, these things have been used, perimeter detection. We can figure out if somebody is crossing a fence. We can figure out that do an alarm only when somebody crosses over a fence, not coming inside, or the other way around, whichever way you want. I mean, there's enough technology to look at all kinds of things. Now, if you take a look at computer vision for documents, all your documents that you're uploading, scanning, all of those things are essentially looking at how we can understand characters, how we take it back, where is it, robotics, box movement. If you go to an Amazon warehouse today, the entire box movement is all automated. Now that is automation, but where is learning coming from there? Mistakes getting recoded into the algorithm is artificial intelligence. By itself, automation is not artificial intelligence. Automation is automation, right? So we need to take a look at how many of these technologies are coming up. I'll not spend too much time on these now. I'll go to one of these areas which was very dear to me when I was in college, which is deep learning, which is neural networks. Essentially, we have taken how a human neuron behaves, how it processes your signals from your skin, from your eyes, from your ears, and we have figured out what is the mathematical equation that represents this neuron. And now we have taken billions of these neurons and have created machines which is behaving a bit like what you and I can behave, maybe 10%, 1%, 2%, whatever it is. All of these things are based out of this. The inputs come in, we bring all of the inputs together, we apply some function, and then we figure out what to do. And one neuron tells the other neuron, which tells the other neuron, and we sort of build up a chain. And that is what has happened in the whole compute space, that we have taken, understood all of these components, and we have built up a whole system around it, and this is taking over the world. This is what everybody is talking about when they really talk about, am I using AI for doing ABCD? Most people are now talking about this, though the other things that I talked about are also very relevant in terms of the technologies and the algorithms that go behind it. Right now, this is something. How many of you are users of ChatGPT? How many of you don't know what ChatGPT is? Okay, good. We'll get to know in a few minutes. ChatGPT was a system which got launched a couple of months ago. It became famous a couple of months ago. It's been there for almost a year in public domain and another 2 years in development. So it's like a Google interface. You go and say that please write me an essay on this conference, and you will see it will actually nicely type out a whole essay. It's a generative AI, as they would call it. AI is starting to generate new content. When you go to do Google today, Google gives you things that are already there. It just searches the content and gives it to you on a list. ChatGPT creates new content. So you can write essays, you can write your resume. So I'll tell you what all it is doing today. It is writing resumes and cover letters better than human beings. Absolutely, go to ChatGPT. This is the application which has had 100 million subscribers in the fastest time in all applications today. Right? I also work as a CTO for the Vadvani Foundation, and we do a lot of courses for officials and courses. Yesterday we created a course in exactly 20 minutes. We created a full course using no human beings, and it was absolutely, you will not know that it was not done by a human being at all. Prepare for job interviews, explain complex topics. Go to ChatGPT and ask about the topics we are talking about today, and see how it will generate new content and tell you what it is. It's also solving very tricky math problems, and people have been testing it out. You can give it any formula, you can give it, and step by step, just like your ICSE questions, it will actually go through. ChatGPT has been used to almost pass the US law exam, the US medical exam, almost. When I say almost, means it is doing fairly well in solving these. It can answer all the questions that are there today. You can think about what will happen tomorrow. I'm not talking about future of this. So looking at the announcement over here, Google announced that it is going to come up with its own version called Bard, and now Microsoft has invested a lot in this ChatGPT thing. And this little art thing that you see over here, this was produced yesterday by a colleague of mine who works in the other application of OpenAI, which is called DALI, like DALI, Salvador Dali, but DALI 2. You can give it any word, any text, and it will generate a painting behind it. Now you can keep refining the painting. This is about environment, it is about Hindu mythology, it is about how the planet was before planet was. So a lot of complex queries were given to it, and it slowly, systematically generated a view of our environment. And if I tell you what this was generated for, we are actually proposing that we will do similar artworks for the Indian Parliament, the new Parliament building that is coming up. I'm one of the consultants, I'm one of the bidders for it, and we have proposed that one whole wall be dedicated to doing the entire artwork conceived by artificial intelligence. I don't know whether I'll get permission for it or not, but this is one of the examples of what we were trying to show. This is about nature. This wall was about nature. This is about a 144 feet wall which is going to be there. So I am telling you, this is what has happened. This we have done using ChatGPT. Now India has another platform called Bhashini. How many of you have heard of Bhashini project? It's a language translation project of the government. It can translate almost more than 30-40 languages here. Somebody created a WhatsApp bot which can actually take questions from anywhere in the country, in any language, go to ChatGPT, get all the government programs on that and speak back in your language. So you ask in Tamil, it will translate Tamil into English, it will go to ChatGPT, get the answers, translate it back to Tamil and tell you what are all the government contracts. This was demonstrated to Satya Nadella 3 weeks ago, and he mentioned this in Davos 2 weeks ago when he was talking about it. So you can think about what we are doing here in India in artificial intelligence is far ahead of many other places today. The brain power, we are using it for all kinds of new things. In fact, I am building a system for explaining GST. I mean, many of you will know that. Explaining GST laws using ChatGPT in the back. So again, I was saying that this is not just about technology people working in AI. All of you can contribute, can work towards it. There are psychologists, philosophies, language experts, domain experts, government officials, ministries. You've got machine learning, product design, engineers, all kinds of people are working in this technology. And this is the most exciting time to be working on these kinds of things, which is growing very, very fast. And once you're in it, you will be addicted. And you may be a complete layman. You have not understood and not heard about this technology, but you will find it. And as I said, it is not just about the technology. There is a lot of work in getting the data, curating it, labeling it, and this is being done all across. In fact, the ChatGPT data coding was done in Nigeria by people over there, sitting there trying to declassify it. So I'll go. The next one is called quantum computing. This is the last 2-3 slides. The slides were created by ChatGPT. So let me first declare that. The last 3 slides of this on quantum. Now this is a very dear slide to me, and can somebody tell me why? Has anybody seen a quantum computer before? This is a quantum computer. This long thing that you see, it has got 7 layers of cooling. What is a quantum computer? Regular computer thinks like ones and zeros. A quantum computer can think in probabilities of any number between ones and zeros. Human beings, all the artificial intelligence we talked about, are all probabilistic decision making things. They are not ones and zeros, they are vague things. Like human beings don't have ones and zeros only for a few things. There's a whole bunch of, acha bhi lagta hai, nahi bhi lagta hai, when you are somewhere in the middle. Quantum computers are designed to think like human beings and to answer certain types of questions which cannot be done or can be done very expensively using a regular computer. And the reason why this slide is dear to me is because that's my son. And he works at MIT on quantum computing. That picture I took with the things in the back are the quantum computers that he works with today, and so that's why this slide is here today. Anyway, what can you do? Drug discovery. These are some of the problems that are being solved today. Because quantum computers have to take a lot of yes/no decisions. Regular computers have to do a lot of yes/no calculations to get to whether the drug is effective or not. Quantum computers can do it much faster, orders of magnitude faster. It can do supply chain optimization, it can do financial modeling. In fact, while my son was doing his PhD in quantum computing, making the computer, they have started a startup to use quantum technologies for financial modeling. So, world is moving at a pace that we can't even imagine. So this is what is in to calculate that one big tower over there, that little thing over there, the actual thing that they are controlling is that this one thing in the middle. That is the bit that big computer is controlling. So it is a long way to go before it becomes a real computer, by the way. But the work is going on, and that much of compute capacity is required to control that little thing today. So, but it can solve problems like nobody's business. So that is what my session was on demystifying all of these technologies for you. And now I will end here and call on the speakers to give you some of the examples of what it takes. Right? So the first speaker today, I'm pleased to invite Maulik Bhansali for the presentation. Maulik is the CEO of NatWeb, and having started his journey with NatWeb since its inception, so he's been there from the beginning, and he's a dynamic leader with 20 years of industry experience who intensely responds to continuous changes in technology industry. And this is right in the middle of his sweet spot. As a CEO, Maulik sets the vision and strategy of NatWeb with a tenacious commitment to deliver for the customers, employees, stakeholders. Maulik speaks regularly and frequently on various technology and educational associations. He strongly believes in giving back to the ecosystem and the community by means of contribution to academia. Maulik is an immediate past chairman of JCA IT Association and Apex State Body for Promotion of IT Industry. He is also a member of National SME Council of NASSCOM, a national association for Indian Information Technology and Business Process Outsourcing Industry. He is the governing council member of IT and ITES Sector Skills Council of India. Maulik is the founding member of TiE Vadodara and a senior vice president. Thank you, Mr. Bhansali, for sharing your valuable information. So come over.
How are you all doing? A lot of information? Yeah, a lot together, right? And I'm learning as well, and I've actually enjoyed a few sessions before we kind of came on the stage here on the dais. You know, while Sumit talked about AI, and a lot of applications actually talked about, right? And so much to really learn, so much to know, so much to gather, so much to absorb, and see where we can really take it. I'm going to take a little different approach, though I have a few talks or a few things to share on the application side, right? But I'll kind of take a little different view. And if you see that there, you said power to change, okay? All right, the global business scenario, a lot of course has changed over the last 3 years, we all know. Now, one thing which I would like to really share as my observation, you know, until now, any time, at any point of time, if there was any human crisis or even epidemics, and one that we are currently seeing as human crisis in Turkey, for example, right? A natural disaster. Any such thing that would have happened before, or have happened before, our response to manage that, to handle that, and now the way we have managed and handled the pandemic has been very different. I'm sure you all agree with that? Yeah? But what has changed, what has happened as part of managing it, right? Until now, at any point of time, such unfortunate situation came in, we all opened up centers, right? So for example, converting our schools into healthcare centers, converting our place of worships to healthcare centers, distribution of food, people would go to specific places and gather for shelters and so on, right? Isn't it? For the first time in mankind, the response was very different. Yeah? And what was the response? Don't congregate anywhere. Don't gather anywhere. Stay where you are. that was the basic difference which kind of there this time around, and it changed everything, and a lot of things forever. So what we saw, that a lot of things that were done earlier as part of gathering and as part of opening up centers was now done in a distributed way, right? Distributed way means many different things, studying from home, working from home, communications over video conferencing, but yet business had to be done. People had to study, people had to eat. People loved shopping too during those times. So they did continue shopping through e-commerce and so on, right? But it changed, right? And it kind of brought in the importance of distributed computing technologies and digital technologies. Now all these things were existing before. I mean, you talk about IoT, you talk about communication technologies, you talk about satellite communication technologies, you talk about data science, data analytics, you talk about AI, machine learning, right? Everything was there, 3D printing. But time came in when all this thing had to be put into place, right? And converge into deliveries at your homes and at your wherever you are. So that was one biggest change that happened, okay? And that actually multiplied a lot of data, okay? A lot of data. So, and I'll go into that a little bit, but if you talk about, as a result of that, what has happened, we're talking about global scenario where 30% of businesses are already using AI in one or the other form, okay? Close to 43-45% are evaluating it and exploring it for the use, right? And like I say, what has really triggered that is this unique situation to kind of take off, and the data, of course, okay? And before I go into this, I'll talk about a bit about the data part. And this is exactly the reason why I'm kind of going to be talking about data here, because data is very key to this entire AI application part. Can you imagine what kind of data was generated in the last 3 years? Any idea anyone has? Until 2018-19, it was close to 33 zettabytes. Okay, that's the data sphere in general across the world, right? In 2020 alone, it generated about 70 zettabytes in just 1 year. Think about that. And it is predicted that by another few years, 4 or 5 years, it will likely to be around 170 or 175 zettabytes. Think the kind of data is being generated across by us, users, as individuals, through our social media, through our tweets, through whatever we call structured and unstructured data. Structured data is where you possibly have something that you can immediately make sense of, and then you know, for example, your sales data is a structured data. There is a way of recording it, and there is a way of extracting it too. And then there are specific formats. They are structured data. And unstructured data is which lies generally around anywhere. Your tweet is an unstructured data, for example. Right? Now all these things are coming to help in terms of various different applications and various different new trends. And Sumit earlier mentioned about AI. Okay, I have a little different view to it, but of course it still is the same. But I would like to present that you know what basically AI is. I mean, if you consider a human, the way someone would actually make a choice, right, or a decision, right? And if it is done smartly, you call it a smart person. I mean, the way, for example, you play a chess, for example, or you drive a car and make a decision to turn on to left or right, and when to stop, for example. You want machines to make such decisions. That's where it gets smart, right? So, doing it is about making decision, and that's where it gets smart. But how do you do that? So for example, if I take the real world, let's say if I'm supposed to go from point A to point B every day, right, from home to work, and there are two roads to it, two different routes. Today I take route A, tomorrow I may take route B. One is, let's say, taking 15 minutes to go there, and second is taking 20 minutes to go there. But the 15-minute route, if I get stuck, possibly I'll get stuck for another hour because it's always so congested as well because of the size and the time of the day, right? So on a given day, I may think that, you know what, I want to go to the office, but it's okay if I reach like about 10 minutes, little delayed, but I'm sure that I will be reaching there for sure, right? In that case, I may use route B. Now, what I'm doing, whatever I have absorbed or I have experienced over the period of time, correct? I'm using that experience, that knowledge to exercise my decision or to come up with a decision. That's our mental model. Mental model, right? What we have learned is our mental model. How do you now replicate that, or how do you kind of have machines do that? So for the machines, your real world thing, route A, route B, for example, is your data, right? And your mental model has to get converted into, or possibly you have to have mathematical model to take care of that, right? So the learning part that you see there is actually important when you talk about data and learning through data, right? And that's where machine learning comes into play. That part is machine learning, okay? And the action part is where you mostly kind of, you make decisions. Is your smart act, is your artificial intelligence. And if you can possibly combine learning and do both put together, this is the real actual domain or spectrum of your AI. But that's what your machine learning is, and that's what your AI is. And the reason I talked about data before, that until now, I mean, what changed? That you're starting to use this now. It was there for years, as Sumit mentioned earlier. What has changed? It has changed because data is now available. It is available anywhere, anytime. We talk about cloud technologies, correct? So it's there for you to use it, right? And on top of that, our communication technologies are really getting so good day by day, and we are going to soon see 5G being used. So the in-time, real-time availability of data, using it, consuming it, producing is going to be far much more better, and it's going to increase by its volume or velocity, and even the variety, right? So therefore, it is becoming absolutely important to kind of leverage that, and that's what we are talking today. So friends, I talked about generally, in terms of what happened during pandemic, for example, right? To give an example, to give you a kind of understanding that what actually triggered, right? However, if you look at from a different perspective and from a business point of view, okay, you use technology for what? I mean, I'm sure you all use it for what? One is to run your business, right? To automate. So things like your ERP solutions, things like CRM solutions, right? So you have that, okay? And second is about driving the change, right? And that too through actionable items or through actionable insights. And where do you get that from? Again, from data. That's where again your analytics comes into play, and AI and machine learning comes into play. So creating AI applications, by the way, is different from actually using AI tools, right? And there are models which we just saw as ChatGPT, for example. Now, OpenAI has been there for almost 5-6 years, or possibly even more than that. Okay? I don't know how many of you really know that it was Elon Musk who actually one of the founding members was of OpenAI. Yeah? And he quit that because his interests were conflicting with Tesla AI, and when he came out, Microsoft came in, and took it from there to what we are seeing it today. Okay. So, but then these models are available in OpenAI world, and we saw earlier with Sumit saying that there are different things that it can do. One component, for example, talking about OpenAI is Access GPT, which is where you are actually able to converse in text form, right? Which is conversational AI. You are able to converse, generating text, for example. Second is your generating image out of your need or what you wish or what you tell, right? DALL-E that we talked about. And third, which I've been very closely looking at myself and with our business, is Codex. Now I'm not sure if you know, but I can actually ask computer to write the code and generate the code. Computer program, right? So it's going to disrupt that part very, very profound, okay? And we are very watchful about that. So just few days back, I could actually write few SQL queries, SQL queries to extract some data out of the database for a specific need or for a specific case, and it kind of generated that SQL query, embedded very well into a business logic. Interesting, isn't it? Okay. So that's a change. It's not like just running the business as usual, but it's a change which if you need, then you must really think about that. Okay. And when I talk about change and we talk about digital transformation in general, right? I mean, there are different stages, right? One is digitization and second is digitalization and then finally digital transformation. Digitization is actually your converting your non-digital data into digital. So for example, your engineering machine drawings converted into your wireframe drawings or models on a computer, for example, that's digitization. Digitalization is actually implementing your things like your IoT, sensor technologies and so on to kind of bring some data out from where it's being generated. So then you can possibly create new workflows or automate new workflows, and that's digitalization. But digital transformation is talking about change your business function or a lot of things drastically or transform it completely, right? And that's where AI can make a big difference over there. So when you talk about digital transformation, okay, to generate new services, to generate new business portfolios, to generate new products, to generate new commercial business models and so on. So where do you start from? I mean, these are few areas which normally businesses apply when AI is used for application, and most of the times, it starts with customer experience and customer facing needs. Okay, and chatbots, for example, your customer segmentation, for example, and so on. Targeted marketing, for example. So there are few engines where it also uses sentimental analysis, right? Which means you feed in the data and it will tell whether is it positive sentiment or negative sentiment, for example. And you can possibly launch your products understanding what customers need and what their brand expectations are, for example, right? And there are a few such points I have written, and I'm not going to be able to go into details because of limit of time that I have. Okay. So these are the areas within a business that you can possibly apply AI to, right? To deliver and to add to business value. However, these are the ones where you shape the business according to business context, right? So healthcare, financial services, and we all saw, I mean, transportation, we saw an example of intelligent transport and traffic management system there. Friends, this is the last slide which I would like to take a minute on. This is by Taiwanese scientist Kai-Fu Lee, where how humans and AI will work together. Humans are required where compassion is needed, and when compassion is not needed, you don't need humans. You can have AI take more prominent role. And on the other side, you see optimization. That's when again AI can take a huge role, and where you have creativity and strategies, where again you can have human and AI working together, or human or AI working on either situational cases based on the need as needed. right? And this is huge point of view now these days when we talk about things like ChatGPT and so on, because impact is also huge. Okay, but we all need to manage it very responsibly. Anything that is good, anything that is so powerful, can make powerful and profound impact, also has to be managed very responsibly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Manchani. That was wonderful. I think some of the examples that you gave really brought out the depth with which people are going into it. Our next speaker, I'm happy to invite Mr. Swami Krishnan. Mr. Swami Krishnan is the Vice President and Head HR and Marketing and Communication at Sasken Technologies Limited, where he has played various leadership roles over the last 10 years. In his current role, he oversees marketing, internal and investor communications. Before taking up this current responsibility, he headed the employee engagement and development function and has headed global business operations at Sasken. In his career spanning over 3 decades, Swami has worked with the Tata Group, the British Telecom, and before joining Sasken. Swami has an abiding interest in management education and has played a role of teacher for over 20 years. On top of his professional commitment, he continues as an adjunct faculty at management colleges, teaches courses on marketing strategy, leadership, managerial values and ethics. Swami holds a bachelor's in engineering, postgraduate diploma in management and a master of arts in management.
So good afternoon, thanks for having me here. I'm still the old-fashioned way. I think you can never replace natural stupidity. Artificial intelligence is good, but the starting point is, I think, natural stupidity. Well, I'll put up my presentation. I think there's a little acronym. I was playing around. I didn't use ChatGPT to generate my presentations. I do it the old-fashioned way. It took me about 1 hour to put this together, but it was time well spent. You can see it's adequate. Whatever we have is adequate. We often romance the future and we live in the past. We forget the fact that today we stand. While we talked about ChatGPT, quantum technology, advancements and things like that, fundamentally let's not forget one thing. Keeping you awake is a challenge for any speaker because you've been here the whole day and no ChatGPT is going to do that. Maybe chai, golgappa time, everybody will wake up, right? So don't worry, ChatGPT is not going to take away any job. It's only going to make our lives better. We can outsource a lot of things, but the one thing we won't outsource is our own doom. I am not a pessimist, and I belong to a school of thought that has been led by Hans Rosling. This planet has a capacity to self-sustain at about 14 billion people. While it looks evident that there could be wars, maybe in Ukraine, maybe in other parts of the world, and there's a polarized world, I don't think we're that stupid, right? There's one instinct built into all of us, and that's preservation, and we will preserve. There's a lot of risky behavior. How many of you use an Android phone? Raise your hands, please. That's a large number. Okay, too bad. You have to wait for your iPhone. It's going to be made locally and much cheaper. When you have time, please go and see when was the last time you updated the security management release in your phone. See, if it's iOS, it gets done automatically. If it's Android, some OEMs push it, some OEMs don't push it. And you know what? Right from buying a little pan, which is very popular in this space, and I like Gujarat for that, and anything you can buy on a phone. Do you know how much commercial risk you're putting into your own pockets? If you don't update your security management release, someone like me, and I won't do it because I'm ethical, can hack into you even if you just put your Bluetooth on. Why do you think I put my phone carefully? Not that I don't trust the gentleman on the right and left of me, but I keep my Bluetooth off. And I keep my Wi-Fi connection off. So security is very important. While we talked about gigawatts of power, a few picowatts of power on Bluetooth is enough to steal all your data. So please secure your phones and devices, and that's what Sasken does for a living. This is the only paid up commercial time I've used. Thanks for inviting us. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, I have a changer. Can you change for me? Yeah, thank you. I'm fidgety, you know, if I go. Okay. So are you concerned about the increase in AI? The obvious answer is yes, otherwise the conference organizers wouldn't have invited this panel, distinguished panel, and all of you hopefully are still awake, right? I can see people nodding off. So let's answer this question. Next slide, please. I don't think this slide says too much except for one quadrant on the extreme right, and that's platforms. The center of it is knowledge. We all need food to eat, right? I don't think ChatGPT is going to say, ChatGPT, make my hunger go away, genie 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Not going to happen. ChatGPT, get me a cup of coffee, I want my cappuccino frothing this way, less sugar, more sugar. Not happening. Maybe something robotic will bring it to you. Maybe my mood changes. Tomorrow it's going to be Areca tea. Maybe a little later it will be Earl Grey. Not in the morning, but in the evening. Possible, services are possible to automate. Manufacturing, I think I shouldn't say too much in the state of Gujarat. You guys rock. In fact, I go way back to 1986, where many of you possibly weren't born or you were in different states of your life. I commissioned the first microwave linked between 2 cities, and one of them is this city where we're standing today, and the other city, one gentleman in the morning called it Dowdy or Dahej. What has changed? They still produce gas. Okay, we do SCADA at that point in time, went on to machine communication, then you call it IoT. You can call it anything. At the end of the day, if you have a gas pipeline going, you got to know how much is flowing, and you use telemetry or something to measure it. So manufacturing will go on, AI or not. What really changed the paradigm is the fact that we've gone to a platform economy which has made asset-light models possible. Now, is asset-light model possible in every sphere of our day-to-day lives? I don't think so. You could have an OYO where nobody owns a property. Maybe this property is also leased, somebody owns it. Someone like the Hyatt runs a service, so we know what the platform economy is. But the core of all this is knowledge, and that's what we're trying to see. If we can get machines and someone else to replicate that knowledge, which between our ears, I think everybody has got a similar organ between our ears, right? So we're trying to see, and that's what Sumit was talking about, replicating this knowledge. Let's move on to the next slide. So the heart of this change, and this change has been going on for many, many, many years, is what I call a 4C model of the Brave New World. And if you like reading, Huxley's title is what I stole from. There's connectivity. When I started my career in India, there was one phone per 1,000 people. And today, there are 8 billion people on this planet. Can anyone tell me how many people use a toothbrush? Less than 4.5 billion people. A lot of people use dant manjan, a lot of people use neem sticks, and in some parts of the world they don't brush their teeth at all. Can you tell me how many mobile phones are used? I think each one of you have more than one, and I can see many of you attending this session like this. The way we even see something, we don't even see the Eiffel Tower, we see it through a phone. And that's what's changed. I have never seen people put their hands in their pocket or relax and say everybody is on a phone. There are 6.5 billion phones in this planet. Okay, that's what I've seen transforming in my career. When I started my career, we started with 1G. We didn't even call it 1G at that time. It was called Advanced Mobile Phone System. Now we have 5G. In fact, somebody made a song out of it. Low G, Slow G, 5G, 6G, 7G. 6G is already under standardization. And there are big companies like Reliance and Airtel. That's going to bring the power of 5G and 6G to you. Don't be afraid of it. There's Wi-Fi 6 as an alternate standard as well. You cannot escape connectivity. On you, on your body, is enough antennas to put previous technologies to shame. You have RFID in your wallet, your Bluetooth, your Wi-Fi on your laptops, and 2G to 3G to 4G to 5G on your mobile phones. How many of you have a 5G mobile phone? Raise your hands. Why did you buy it? Can anyone answer? We don't have a 5G network yet. See, that's the power of technology. It makes you want to consume. How many of you have seen a 4K HD TV? Or a transmission, or an 8K HD TV? But yet you'll spend about 3 lakhs to buy a TV just because you want to watch it. Okay, that's the power of technology. Computing. When I began my career, the first 1984, I got a 20 MB hard disk, and I thought I'd arrived in the world. 20 MB. I think that's that much in a little Chinese toy somewhere. Sorry for using the China word, but that's what it is. Today we are talking about each core in your mobile phone powering off at 2.5 gig. Okay? And there's enough computing power to sort of light up a city. So that's huge shift. Not to forget the quantum computing, Sumit, and where he showed his son working in a lab, probably Carnegie Mellon, MIT, that probably can outthink civilization. possibly, right? So the kind of terra, mega, zeta flops, God knows what it is. Then everybody knows the cloud. I like the clouds, blue sky, but we all know what the cloud is, right? Every 10 minutes I get a message pop up from Google saying that your box is almost full, buy more storage. This generation is going to generate the maximum amount of digital junk in this world. I don't know how many accounts I've set up just to escape the 130 rupees. Not everybody spends money. I don't like to spend money. Why should I spend 130 rupees? Google aur ek account laga do. Okay, that's what it is. I click photographs on my way from beautiful drive from Surat to this place. I must have taken 1,000 photographs. I possibly will never see them again. But the beauty of this technology is 2 to 3 years later, I will get a memory saying, if I'm alive, that is, if I'm on this planet, it will say, you were traveling on this day, these are the memories. And then I might send a picture to one of you, I might send it to you. So things have changed whether we like it or not. Back in the days when I came to Bharuch in '86, if I wanted to get a cigarette, I went and asked, "Ek sutta milega?" He would obviously give it to me. I'd give 1 or 2 rupees and get that. Today I get 18 or 19 rupees and buy that, but I can do that using a simple thing like a BDMA app. What has changed? So that's something that I wish that we look at. Next slide, please. So this is what all of us are. And please, mind me of time. If I have to rush through whatever it is, peel me off the stage. There are only 2 things we do. We think and we feel. So let's move to the next one. Yeah. Let's go to the next slide, please. Decision makings are not that complex in life. Let me make a confession here. Back in '84 when I graduated, by then I already had a girlfriend who was my wife of several years. I didn't know it's a risky thing to marry. Neither did Rekha know it's a risky thing to marry. But the probability is between 0 and 1. The probability is if she had said no and I had said no, no marriage. No risk at all. And she and I said yes. Does that mean it's a high risk? I don't think so. It depends on the way you look at things. And the grey scales in between. We talked about there's a spectrum of possibilities in between. We might have just dated and separated after some time. Or we might have dated and separated and got back. Or in some other countries, we might have married several times and again married each other back again. One never knows. So please wrap up your session in the next 5 minutes. Got it. That's almost like my wife telling me, shut up and move on. So that's the fuzzy part of decision making, right? Scenario 1, 2, and 3, I thought I have all the time, but now he says between shutdown and partial restoration, that's Corona free. So I'm somewhere in the middle, okay? Thanks. Go to the next one. I think you've seen this. There's a lot of tilting onto data deluge. So we think every decision making is complex. But can one of you raise your hands and say that give me 7 reasons why you bought that red Ferrari? No, there's got to be only one reason. You like the Ferrari, right? Nothing else. Or you can afford the Ferrari. On the side of data is insights, is decision making. The fact is it's in real time, that's what makes it challenging. And no better thing than doctors and the example that Sumit gave about detecting skin cancer or blah, 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 that you can do with this amount of data with some amount of accuracy. In fact, we are working with a surgeon, a combination of certain people in the United States who can diagnose peripheral arterial diseases using AI algorithms. Next slide, please. Next slide. So just maybe this one slide, 4 minutes. We'll just talk about this. All of us commute, whether it's a 2-wheeler today or a 4-wheeler. And this is a state that loves its sweets, and I love Gujarat. So PEDAS, let me give you an acronym which you can remember. PEDAS. PEDAS stands for Passenger Entertainment, Driver Assistance, and Safety. You know, recently, level 3 autonomy has been achieved in the United States. And I bet you, even many people, they're doom pundits, they say we can't do this in India, blah, blah, blah. But I bet you in the next 5 years, we'll be at level 3 autonomy too. Because 5G, a technology like 5G will bring in what is called vehicular CV2X. Vehicles will talk to vehicles will talk to infrastructure, and a much safer commute in smarter cities that Sumit has been building and has been alluding to is a definite possibility. Passenger entertainment, all of us know what the kind of leaps and bounds, even in a car that costs 5 lakhs or less, you have an entertainment system built out of Android, and you have enough and more telematics. I remember Mr. Surya, the president of Surya, right? I think that's his name. The president from Reliance who talked about safety. Now, passenger safety with cars is important. Today, all cars are built with a crash location detection and transmission. So this is the future. It's happening now. Change will happen whether you like it or not. And time's up, right? There you go.
Our next speaker is Mr. Mangesh Navrange to deliver, and I invite him to deliver his presentation. So Mr. Mangesh Navrange is the Sales Director and Digital for Energy Industries and Energy Industries Division and Process Automation at ABB India. In his role, he works closely with the customers for driving digital transformation in their organization. He is also leading the digital initiatives for enterprise digital and energy management for India, Middle East and Africa region for ABB. Mangesh has had more than 23 years of experience in industrial automation, product development. He joined ABB in 2003 and has held various positions spanning engineering, software, product development and product management and sales. Welcome.
Swami, thanks for keeping everyone awake. Yeah. So AI digital innovation, I will take slightly a different track than what probably you have heard over the session. That's me and my colleague. He's sitting one amongst you, and he takes care of chemical business for ABB. So just in case you need to reach out to us, we are here today and tomorrow. Quickly, 4 topics and 15 minutes. Yeah. So ABB, for those unversed, we are there for more than 100 years in 100 countries with more than 100,000 people, and yeah, we do some few $1 billion of business. We are into various segments like electrification, automation, telecommunication, and not to forget digitalization. So that's what we do. And the red box is the business where myself and Vinu we work for. So we have total 21 businesses. They are independent entities, responsible for their profit and loss. For ABB, it exists for more than 100 years, and the one reason for that is ABB always have been in the forefront of every industrial revolution. I mean, today we talk of Industry 4.0, so we go back to 1.0 and start looking back. So ABB was there right from the days of Industry 1.0, and obviously, pushing the boundaries with the technology innovations. And this is important. We are allowed to do business only with integrity and transparency, and sustainability is our purpose, looking at resources, people, society, our next generation. So just to tell you, ABB have multiple factories in India, and all of them have the Green Certified Factory certification. So that's how we operate ourselves, and that's how we also help our customers. A little bit on Industry 4.0. So we heard a lot about artificial intelligence, data, so it has set the platform. But in our world, in manufacturing world, the way we call it is Industry 4.0 or digital transformation, or maybe some other terminologies you might have heard. And when you look at this curve, this is called S curve, shape of S. And on the top are some of the industries like finance, the information and communication technology, and media. So they have already revolutionized their business models by transforming themselves digitally. And when you look at the beginning of the S curve, that is where most of us who are in this room, including me. So this is where we are. We are at the beginning of this digital transformation journey.
The idea is already something has happened, people have reached that stage and we have a lot to learn from them. So there is a benefit to what they have done. Lot of technologies, I mean if we try to remember, 40 years back, 1980s, technologies were confined to, let's say, government organizations. In India, we can think of ISRO, DRDO, CPRI, the NASA, so on and so forth. And that's where the technology innovations happened, and then they came to the outside world. When we go beyond, the computers came in, internet came in, and that's where industry also participated in innovation. But with this new millennium, we know we all have mobile phones. We heard a lot from Swami and other speakers. So with the advent of mobile, this technology innovation have really come to the public domain, public space. And what all you see on your screen, what all probably you don't see on your screen, a lot of it contributes to the technology innovation. And when I look at manufacturing industry, and let's say Bharuch is, as we heard in the morning session, is a hub for chemical industry. But I don't want to single out chemical manufacturing only, the other industries as well. And there are many digital technologies which are available in industry space, in manufacturing space. And they all have certain impact, and certain impact in terms of the value chain of manufacturing. The single most technology that has the largest impact across the value chain is the data. The data-driven digital transformation. Above and beyond, you have industrial Internet of Things, you may have robotics, you may have other technologies, but data. Okay, so we will see how data can help us doing the digital transformation. Some of the macro challenges for our industry, the manufacturing industry, and Swami started with cyber security. So today, on the flight, when I was reading a newspaper, just the statistics to quote, they say in India, the cost of cyber security breach or data breach is approximately $2 million US, about 17 crore Indian rupees, and that's a report from financial year 2022. Okay, and we are still below the global average, but that's why cyber security is always a macro challenge for industry. Workforce, remember millennium has kicked in, old people retiring, new people joining the workforce. When I meet the customers, many a times I hear this, the new generation, they are looking at technology-based tools when they are working in the manufacturing sector. And a lot of times they find that is missing, and sometimes they find it unattractive. So we have to keep that also in mind. And then there are maybe many other challenges, but these are the macro ones. And what we can do in terms of digitalization, a lot of it, all of it, or more than this. Okay? So anything and everything that we do in this space will really help the manufacturing industry to do digital transformation. And huge benefits are possible, productivity gains, huge numbers, energy savings like 30%. So there are some statistical numbers available. I don't want to quote, they are there in the slide. But these are benefit areas for the industry. So we will see some of these technologies because we have 15 minutes, so I'll try to cover what I have planned. And how do we make this happen, right? The IT guys spoke a lot about IT, quantum computing. I mean, I also learned a few things about quantum computing today. But what's important for us to know is the technology has come from IT space. We are the automation guys, the OT space. And when they come together, they're coming to closer. As they say, flattening of IT and OT hierarchy. OT is at the lower level, IT is at the higher level. And when these two things come together, that's where you see the data explosion and data-driven transformation. Yeah? So some of the systems on the IT side we are familiar of, like ERP, CMMS, let's say quality systems, sustainability systems, and in our OT world we have SCADA, the DCS, the PLCs, the manufacturing execution system. So all of them have to come together for sure. And if we can bring them together, we have solved the most perennial problem and problem number one. And that's a step to begin the digital transformation. So it's a journey, okay? It's not that, I do it and I'm done. Okay, it's a journey because technology is evolving, technology is maturing, so it will evolve and we have to be ready for that. And when something is a journey, it requires a cultural change in organization as well. So this is typically, when you read from left to right, that's all constitutes what it takes for a digital transformation. So be it data aggregation, be it applying artificial intelligence, machine learning, ability to scale quickly, right? Today you start monitoring maybe 10 machines, you like the technology, it works for you, and this 10 you take it to 1000 in no time, that's the scaling part of it. And applying this technology to all your business function, not just the automation or the process people or the maintenance people, but take it to your supply chain people, take it to the sustainability people. So those are the use cases, business cases that the technology has to solve. So, and it has to be enterprise-wide. So you may have a manufacturing in Bharuch, you may have a manufacturing outside Gujarat, so you have it spread all over the country, and most of the corporates have that type of a situation. And we should allow them to bring all of it in one place, and that's where we make it enterprise-wide. So that's important. Some numbers. I think this is the only place where I will talk numbers. So 80%, what is 80%? For manufacturing sector, we have so much of automation in place. Okay, just if I talk about automation, forget all other systems. You will have skids or machines delivered by different OEMs. All of them come with their own PLCs, and then they create silos, right? You have data residing in I don't know how many places, depending upon size of plant. I can quote one customer down south. They have 200 PLCs, okay, each generating data but not talking to each other. I mean, that's the biggest number I have seen. Maybe there are bigger numbers than that. But what industry says is, if you want to bring all of this together, 80% of your digital transformation project, be it AI, ML, that's the next step. Your 80% effort goes in just bringing this information together. You want automation information to come in one place, SAP information to come, the MES information to come, and each of this is supplied by various vendors. So coordinating with this agency, getting agreement with them, getting the commonality of system, the standardization, the 80% effort is gone, and many projects sort of derails from that step itself. And then what happens is, so much of data is generated by the industry today, and we heard, right, technology is really getting cheaper. Data storage is, we have mobile with maybe 120 GB. So these days, everywhere we see, we store 2-year, 5-year worth of data, but what are we doing with that data? And when we look at each of these silos, most of the data gets unused. So that's where the 73% is a number. That's what the industry survey says. 70% data is unused for meaningful purpose. Okay, don't take it in the literal sense that nobody is using it, but it is unused. Oh, I already got it. Okay. And what we do is we have a 40% productivity gain by applying digitalization. And where it begins with your automation system. It's the most underrated thing in manufacturing industry that we just need automation, but we have to think about a system which should be a system for future. Okay, the needs and the demands of future of manufacturing, changing business model, faster turnaround time, dynamically executing your customer's order, business to business orders, all of that into mind, and please try to check, is your automation system capable of meeting your current needs as well as evolving needs. That's very important. So think about the future of automation and choose your automation. Again, as I said, many silos. So what happens is systems, equipments, people, they all create barriers in between them. Nobody is talking to each other. Utilities is my area, process is my area, reactors is my area. Where is the collaboration? And that is missing. And when we say transformation, right, I mean, all the leaders spoke about collaboration, teamwork. And for that possibility, what you really need is a system which can bring everything together. So individually, we may work in different functions. Somebody may have responsibility to maintain, somebody may have responsibility to operate, somebody may have responsibility to look at the production side of it, but all of us should have a single view of the entire plant, and that's where the collaboration happens, knowing each other. And just to give an example, so ABB system 800XA deployed in many places by us, and this is where It allows you to integrate all your plant areas, be it power side, be it process side, be it safety side, be it third party PLC side, into a single layer of automation on the top. Yeah, that's we call unified automation. So this is where you bring the single version of truth of all the data generated in your manufacturing. And that's the first step when we talk digitalization. And why this is important? Because when we go and talk to customers, not in one industry, but in many industries, okay, there are people of various experiences and they want to know, where do we start? What is the right starting point? So this is the point. So you get a single version of truth in your control room, irrespective of, suppliers, protocol, all those diversities are agnostic. And just to quickly say, your DCS itself starts creating digital twin for you. So your motor, your pump, your equipments, they are represented as digital twin in the form of the kind of diverse information the DCS allows you to store. It's not just about the process parameter, but it's about the installation manual, it's about the alarm instruction that you want to handle, it's about the faceplate that you want to work with, it's about the work order that you want to generate in SAP. So all of this should be possible from your DCS, from your piece of equipment that is represented in DCS world. And this is possible today, okay? So today's DCS allows that, we do that. Another important piece, we know virtualization, physical machines converting it into virtual world. Now digital, what is digital? Representing physical world in a digital form or in a virtual form. So another important piece, we have life cycle issues with the automation system, because that is another barrier that we hear from customers. Any change we face barriers. The moment you apply virtualization, your systems lives longer, your total cost of energy is shorter. And we have delivered systems in India, more than 700,000 IOs across 30 systems in virtual environment. Chemical, pharmaceutical, oil and gas, power, everywhere. That's possible. Again, automation to autonomous, the workforce that is coming in is looking at augmentation. They are not experts on day one. So they need system to augment their level of knowledge. And that's where the autonomous part will come in. And that is where the part 2 of the journey will kick in. So you build your automation and then top it up with next layers, advanced layers. The manufacturing operations management, where you do the manufacturing analytics, and then you go at the corporate level for the enterprise level analytics. Just as an example, since maybe a lot of people are from the chemical industry, I thought might be relevant. A lot of batch processes, and batch analytics is foremost and fundamental. So what it allows you to do is, it allows you not to compare only the golden batches, but it allows you to compare products produced across different production lines. You can compare that as well. It will also tell you if there is a deviation in product quality, and you can take a preemptive action. It will also let you know if there is some kind of a formation of layer in the reactor and it needs cleaning. So a lot of such things are possible, and at the plant level. And you go to the next level, that is corporate level, where most of CXOs are there, and they want to know from the business point of view, how are we doing? How many business orders we are ready to execute? What is the status? What is the delay? What are the reasons? How much I am spending on my maintenance? So all such information will be gathered at the highest level by collecting the information from diverse sources, and that is where we call the enterprise digitalization. Collecting OT data, IT data, and the engineering data, because that gives you a 360-degree view of your business, of your asset, of your process. And these are some of the things which are possible today. For example, you can look at your inventory analytics, you can look at the sustainability part, you can look at maybe the truck management system, the cycle time of it. So all of it is possible when you bring it at the higher levels. So that's where the step 1, step 2 of digital journey, and that's the question we receive from most of the customers. So we thought maybe it is relevant that we share that with you. So with that, it's end of the story, and that's the summary. Probably you get slides and you can read it, but digital is for real, it's happening, we are doing it, people are seeing benefit of it.
Mr. Navrange, I think that was looking at this problem from the core of where data is getting generated. So this is where, from the machines, factories, the data is getting generated, and the prior speakers were talking about how do you take this data and find meaning at multiple layers of hierarchy on top of it. I think this was good for talking about the digital automation technology. My next speaker is Mr. Saurabh Ghosh. Mr. Saurabh leads the business development of Siemens Chemicals and Pharmaceuticals vertical. He manages a team of technical experts and business developers and drives the product and solution business for the entire Siemens portfolio, encompassing digitization, automation as well as electrification. With nearly 20 years of experience in the field of automation and control across 2 continents, he has worked in various roles including project engineering, execution, product management, international sales and business development. Saurabh is passionate about traveling and connecting with people with diverse backgrounds, cultural and linguistic backgrounds. He is a voracious learner in technology and loves coaching and mentoring. Welcome, Mr. Saurabh.
Good afternoon. Still the passion remains. But before I start my presentation, Swami correctly said that I got the sloggers. So, does it challenging my own status quo that I got the last slot of the day to present? Of course not. Rather, I'm feeling happy that now I have no time limit. I can talk about next 2 hours, right? I'm taking it as granted. No worries, I'm sensible enough. I can understand it's a long day. I can understand, I can see your eyes, but I will be sensible. I will be, as precise as possible. But before I start my presentation, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to the BDMA, Bharuch District Management Association, for inviting me and requesting me to do a kind of a technology session. We heard enough of the technology. When I learned a lot of technologies, it's kind of a rehearsing session for me. But I took a little bit different steps here. So instead of talking about technology, I decided to talk about the purpose, why we are using the technology. And as I'm coming from the chemical and the pharmaceutical background, I thought I could relate with all of you, very closely. So I'm not going to talk about again the technology. I would like to get the right purpose, why I'm here, why I'm standing in front of you, and talk about what are the technologies are required for today. Because in Siemens, we strongly believe technology without purpose has no meaning. This all glamorous technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, digital twin, will not connect if they don't hit the right purpose. So let me start with the right purpose here. Good. So my introduction